Woo! Woo! Hi! I got a cold again, so this video might be a little bit sniffly, so I'm sorry for that. But I thought, since it's October and spooky season, let's take a look at what sort of spooky stuff we can do with industrial design, and let's draw a couple of spooky jack-o'-lanterns. Woo! Let us start with some good old basics, namely our ellipses, and we're going to start with the horizon line. And hopefully you guys remember this. If we build ellipses that go towards the horizon line, if we look straight at the horizon line, the ellipses should be almost like the flat line, equal with the horizon line. Now, if we start looking down, so something like this happens, where the lower we look, the more the ellipse opens up, the more it becomes oval, going almost to a full circle. This happens also when we look up. So if we look upwards, the same thing pretty much happens. The higher we look, the more the ellipse turns from a flat line into an oval and then a full circle. Something to keep in mind, this is also how we build our cylinders, namely just connecting a couple of these ellipses. Basically, just imagine if we are looking down on a table, the ellipses are going to be more open, and as the table gets pushed higher, so if our table was here closer to that horizon line, then our ellipses are going to be more and more squished, almost visibly more squished up here, that's closer to the horizon line, than down here. And with that refresher out of the way, let us draw a cylinder. Let's start with the rotational axis. So our cylinder is going to rotate around this cylinder, right? And this is at the same time the minor axis. This will be our major axis, and then I decide that it is going to be around this wide and this open. So now it's up to us to draw a nice cylinder, which doesn't always work, or a nice ellipse, sorry. It doesn't always work, but we do our best. And then just draw lines up here, and then draw another major axis. And as we just talked about, this has to be shorter now, so we're going to squish it just a little bit. And this is our cylinder, right? Now, if we want to turn this cylinder into a jack-o'-lantern, or, well, first of all, a pumpkin, of course it needs to have a bit of a shape, a bit of a rounded shape, so we're going to round it out here on the sides. We're not going to leave it as it is. And we are going to give it a little bit of a cap, which is, again, I'm drawing major axis there, and I'm squishing quite a bit. And then this will be almost like the head of our little pumpkin. Don't forget, pumpkins have these, I don't know actually what these are called, but it is divided into these things. So now we have the head. I forgot to put this little, I don't know what this is called either. My vocabulary when it comes to pumpkins apparently is not that as good as I thought it would be. All right, with this technically you have your pumpkin. Now, of course, turning it into a jack-o'-lantern, what you will need to do is carve a smile into it. You can go scary, you can go silly. What I don't recommend is don't turn on the symmetry, because of course you think it's symmetrical, but in reality we never really managed to make these super symmetrical. So I think you are going to have much better results if you stick with non-symmetrical lanterns. So I just draw the teeth non-symmetric, well, as symmetrically as I can, but I'm not making it look super strict. And then just draw the teeth in. Don't forget to give it a thickness, because the pumpkin has flesh, and that flesh has a bit of a thickness to it, something like this. And then you have the nose, of course. As you can see, I moved it a little bit to the side as well, and now we have the eyes. And with that, you have your pumpkin, and it is this easy to make a spooky jack-o'-lantern. Now, let's make a couple more. If you want to see this part of the video in real-time speed and with a little bit of commentary as well, take a look at my Patreon page, where I have uploaded this as bonus content. And here is a set of 3. As you can see, I varied the shape quite a bit, and I just realized I didn't show you one that is good to see as well. We have this central rotational axis, and you don't have to start necessarily with these ellipses. What you can do is you can also say, but what if my pumpkin shape is a little bit like this? No problem, that's the outer shape. Now we are going to give it a little bit of more of a rounded feeling with these ellipses, and now we also know how it should go or rotate or turn. So this will be my final ellipse here, and this is where we cut it open, and now you just make sure to finish the shape. And this is a bit harder because I always say try to draw within one go when you draw a line, but of course when it is bent like this it's a little bit harder. Now the other thing that I forgot to mention is try to also offset it from the side. Don't always face the camera. What happens if you would put a mouth here, and let's give it a couple of teeth, would go something like this, and you will see within a second how much more, I don't want to say much more charming, but it just has a different type of charm. So this would be this. Let me draw these in with a little bit stronger line so everybody can see exactly what we're working with here. Let's give it some very happy eyes. I'm gonna draw the lines here on a new layer just so I can easier erase them where I don't need them. So inside the eye sockets and the mouths, these divisional lines are not really necessary. And then you can also just erase the extra lines and add some black. And there you go. See, just because I rotated it a little bit and it looks to a different side now, it already has a little bit of an extra charm to it. These guys are also funny, but if we go back to the first one, it's very clinical and very stiff. So if you bring some of these fun lines, turn it to one side or another, give it a little bit of a tilt, like this fella here, your pumpkins are going to be much cuter. Well, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you had a lot of fun with it. And as always, leave me the messages or questions or suggestions, whatever you have, in the comment section down below. As always, a like and a subscribe will do me well. And if you really like the video and you want to support me, there's links to all sorts of ways you can do that. Also Patreon. Speaking of Patreon, thank you very much for my lovely Patreon followers. I really appreciate all you do. And with that, we have come to the end of the video. Have a great week, all the nice things, but the most important thing is that you folks have a great time, keep on sketching, and see you in the next one. Bye bye! Woo!